only to those operating from their bodies. There is nothing before and after consciousness. You think yourself to be the body. That memory of yours must vanish. Then there will be no difference between you and me. That can happen by meditation, which means to be consciousness free of thoughts. Mind is nothing but our thoughts, and it accompanies us. With consciousness, everything else appears, and without it, there is nothing. The appearance of consciousness means our coming to know our existence, with which the world appears. There is nothing prior to consciousness, which is vast and ever existent. Consciousness has no individuality, and it may appear in Lord Brahma or even in a worm. In its light, the entire world appears. It gives life to various forms which have no individuality. With consciousness, there is always its knower, who is ever present, but the former appears and disappears. With the appearance of consciousness, there are various experiences of life, including enjoyment or suffering. These continue as long as the form is living. No form is permanent, including those of Lord Hari or Hara. None has control over his or her existence. You have appeared in your present form spontaneously, without doing anything and even without your knowledge. All that is known by you is going to vanish when prana leaves. When you believe yourself to be the body, you are bound to do your duties and other actions. In this entire happening, what are you really? It is due to Maya that almost none tries to realize one's true nature. In the original motionless state, there is a sudden disturbance resulting in the sense of being of some living form. You are in illusion because of your pride of being the body. That misunderstanding harms you. When your imagination about yourself drops, what remains is your true nature. In the company of others, including your concepts, you experience unhappiness. Can it remain when you are alone or all one? You are not the mind. Our bodies are the forms of food material. Hence, knowingness in the body is only material knowledge. This knowingness identifies with the body as its form and makes various resolutions for becoming happy. This only results in unhappiness. Hence, make use of the body knowing fully well that it is not your form. In reality, you are not born at all. In order to know why there is no birth and how, you must meditate. Dhyan Yoga is to be with your consciousness, free of thoughts. It is the effect of Maya to believe the birth of the body as our birth and its death as our death. What is in the body is only an image of Atman. In reality, Atman is never born, but there is only an appearance of consciousness. When the collection of food material takes a concrete form, that is called a body. Identification with it results in hopes, desires, and cravings, which lead to unhappiness. The birth of our bodies has happened in our absence, hence we have no experience of it. Due to body form, one experiences being a man or a woman. That experience is absent when the body is not, and there is no sattva or its quality of consciousness. When one investigates one's reality as per the Guru's words, all of one's imaginations and beliefs will vanish. Finally, we will know clearly that we are not even the consciousness in the body, which is the quality of sattva. While living in this world and in the presence of the body, one sees oneself separate from the body. That itself is the experience of being liberated and being unborn right at this moment. A sage or the liberated one never takes himself as his body. That is his nature. All the activities of the mind are of the mind alone, and none of its knower. Let your mind be convinced that your birth is only a trouble seen in a dream. You are not the mind, and all its activities come in your awareness. You must continue to repeat the mantra, which will purify the mind. A pure mind will obey all your suggestions and instructions. In short, you have to become a guru of your own mind and slowly guide it towards the self. What is meant by jnani? When a sage is alive, he has to face all kinds of trouble, but on his departure, his idols are installed and worshipped. The reason is obvious. People cannot accept the new, but they give recognition only to the established and the famous. After realization, there is a loss of individuality. The condition of a jnani is identical to what he was prior to his existence, during his existence, and also after his departure. The self is the same without any change. The consciousness has now appeared, and the same is bound to vanish. In spite of this, all human beings desire and struggle to get lasting happiness. The root of existence is a child. And what is its end? All this is to be realized. Thereafter, knowledge is neither to be used nor misused. Whether you like it or not, you have to enjoy or suffer what is going to happen. You have no choice in it. When the common man comes in contact with some great personality, that memory is so valuable to him. For a jnani, no acquaintance is of any value. A jnani doesn't have even the slightest idea of his using his influence over others. What is meant by a jnani? It means nothing. He has no name, no form, and he is nothing. A jnani is a knower of consciousness, which is a quality of the 5 elements. A jnani is the knower of consciousness, and all needs or requirements are on the level of consciousness. A jnani is beyond it. You have come here, and you are sitting here. As long as you are here, you are bound to hear these talks. It is not necessary that you are enjoying these talks. We know we are, and there is a mind, which is present and active. The consciousness and mind are present in various forms which are given different names. Someone earns a large sum of money, takes it to his hometown, and constructs a modern house there. As soon as the housewarming ceremony is over, he dies. As there is no heir, all his property, including that house, is taken over by the government. This is all a play of Maya. It is not suggested that there should be no activity at all. One should always look into the future and consider what will be our condition then. As we realize ourselves to be the self, our utility for ourselves is over. This fact is known to the jnani, and all these facts apply to you also equally. Most of the Mahatmas are ignorant about these facts, and even if they know anything, they maintain secrecy about it. They involve their disciples in various practices and work, without telling them that all this labor is useless. In the physical world, there is competition, which gives people a zest to live. The talks that go on here will reduce the interest of people to struggle, and they will lose interest in life itself. People have hopes and desires to do better day by day, and they get discouraged by Jnani's talks. Hence, he prefers to remain silent. The word vairagya means absence of worldly passion. It is to know that everything is of no use and in vain. Prior to knowing it, there will be love and giving donations. After knowing that, our utility to ourselves is zero. One becomes quiet. In reality, love and helping others are qualities of consciousness, and they are spontaneous. It is not your work, but of self-love. Atman is free of all ties and bonds. We use words like Atman, Paramatman for a better understanding. Atman means us. One who identifies with the body is called Jiva. Hence, we are neither Jiva nor mind. Due to the impressions on the body and consciousness, the mind is formed. It also believes in the body as its form. All our activities take place because of the mind. When Jiva comes to know that body is not its form, it becomes Shiva. Atman is free of all ties and bonds. Atman is beyond consciousness. Hence it has no self-consciousness. It means I is absent in Atman. As Atman is formless, it has no ideas of being like this or like that. What are you if you are not the body? When you exist without a body, then you are changeless and free of all ties and bonds. Due to mental modifications, there is no end to your desires and requirements. That is due to identification with the body. Will you be able to remain without any memory of being a man or a woman? When you first became conscious of your body, that is the first day of your existence. From that day, all your activities are happening as a body. What is your achievement during your whole life? It is only your certainty about death. When what you hear now becomes your own direct experience, you will become a Nani, and there will be no death for you. At the end, when the vital breath slowly leaves the body, there will be experience of more and more bliss. Our bodies are nothing but the digested and assimilated food which has taken a form. If you assimilate the knowledge which you hear now, the fearful death will become full of joy for you. Our Vedas say that the ignorant do not know their separation from prana. As a result, at the end, the cravings accompany the departing prana. This results in rebirth. The real purpose of spirituality, paramartha, is to be full of joy at the end of our lives. When the vital breath leaves, the body falls and our sense of being vanishes. Just as the boiling water slowly cools when the fire is extinguished, when the vital breath leaves, the body slowly cools and the sense of being is no more. The heat in hot water is formless and invisible. When the water cools, what happens to the heat? Similarly, when the consciousness in the body is no more, who is dead? There are many who worship God, but there are very few who are serious about liberation. A rare person amongst these is fortunate to get the true spiritual knowledge. The three qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas are contained in food material. Give full attention to what you hear and surrender it at the feet of the Guru. then the festivity of liberation will be enjoyed in this very life. The time is noted when a child is born, and finally, when the vital breath leaves, that time is also noted. All this is inevitable. The consciousness exists as long as the food material is available. When the bodhisattva becomes very old, the prana leaves. For the ignorant, there is rebirth. For Nani, there is enjoyment. When the heated water cools, we are not afraid. Why should there be any fear when our body cools at the end? There is no question of going to heaven or hell. There is no coming and going anywhere. Prior to birth, when the experience of having a body was absent, where were your pains and pleasures and your worries about the relatives and friends? Your condition is the same now as well, but you feel the difference only due to your identification with the body. There is I am in the body, and it is only Paramatman who comes to know his presence because of the body. It takes time to get to the best, and the insignificant comes easily. When the best is achieved, what will we look like? Then hopes, desires, and cravings will be no more. When you are not the vital breath and mind, our existence will be the same as prior to having a body. How then can hopes and desires remain? Because of the body's habit of devoted pursuits, our activities are bound to begin as soon as we wake up from sleep. When the consciousness knows its source and true nature, one goes beyond consciousness. Then there is no place for hopes and desires, and there is freedom from predictable behavior. Due to enchantment with itself, our consciousness remains in ignorance. When there is a true waking by the Guru's words, one becomes fit to enjoy the festivity while passing away on the last day. We come to know we are due to our pure consciousness, which has no form. All our misery is the result of our identification with the body. Even a multi-millionaire cannot be an exception to this. For a real solution to all our questions and problems, one must stick to the Guru's words that we are the formless consciousness. The Satguru's nature is the eternal, into which all attributes merge. What is the difference between Ishwara and Brahman? What is called direct knowledge is quite different from that which words can describe. A person visited a sadhu and prostrated before him. The sadhu threw his sandals at him, which the man accepted and worshipped. Thereby he earned millions of rupees. In this world there are thousands of such miracles which have nothing to do with self-knowledge. I am talking to individuals, but knowing full well the unmanifested, the manifested, and the individual. The manifestation is formless consciousness, which exists in plenty. When sages tell you to worship God, they mean this consciousness, which is present everywhere. In reality, our true nature is the unconditioned supreme bliss, but we consider ourselves as individuals. If we are not the bodies, what remains is the manifested consciousness. This existence has appeared from the non-existence, and from existence has appeared all this which is never existing. The all-pervasive is full of qualities and full of activities. Your consciousness is due to the 5 elements, but it has in all 10 limbs. The 10 limbs are the 5 elements, the 3 qualities of sattva, rajas, tamas, in Prakriti and Purusha. Due to your body identity, you believe yourself to be an individual and consider consciousness as your own being. In reality, you are a witness of the consciousness. Even a speck of dust is made of the 5 elements. As long as you consider yourself to be an individual with a form, your hopes, desires, and cravings will remain. Where is your manifestation prior to your beingness? You are going to worship the manifested, which means your own consciousness. You are limiting the manifested to your body as yourself. Hence your fear is bound to remain. If you meditate on the manifested, that is, on your consciousness as your guru, you will see miracles showing the various creations from the manifested. Those who regularly practice yoga of meditation experience these miracles. After knowing the all-pervasive consciousness, we cannot imagine ourselves as individuals. Your manifestation is the seed of the experience of the individual, the world, and Brahman. One who drops one's body with the above acquaintance is a great soul. His mere memory can be effective in curing many patients. Such great men are not limited to their bodies, but they are one with all existence. What you are listening to now is the nature of the manifested Brahman, as seen by a worshipper with qualities. The main quality which we have is our consciousness. The word saguna means with consciousness. That is what we are ourselves. One who realizes the consciousness as universal becomes all-pervasive. There is another path which says, for the greatest devotee there are no mental modifications and no attributes. How can the great world remain inside an atomic seed? Hence it is an illusion. The great devotee becomes the unconditioned Parabrahman. In the absence of the body and consciousness, there are no 5 elements. What is the difference between Ishwara and Brahman? If you remove both these words, there will be no difference. Our consciousness is the seed of the universe. From it, the form of God appears in vision as per the devotee's concept. The visions that are seen by people are due to extreme faith, great love, or too much fear. The seed of vision is the seeing consciousness. As per the impressions on the worshipping consciousness, some see Krishna in vision, and some see the god of death Yama riding a buffalo. All visions are the creations of consciousness itself. The world that you see is in your consciousness. Everyone sees a different world, but the sum total of all is one. But this remains unknown to the body identity. We cannot meet a person who is fearless. The fear may be absent for some duration only, but not permanently. Some people wish to poison themselves because of the fear of living, but they don't because of the fear of death. When the body, material, becomes numb, the consciousness is not felt. The vital breath leaves the body on death, but the consciousness vanishes right there. All spiritual knowledge should be your own and direct. For that you must meditate regularly for long durations. The body came first and then the consciousness. Why and how did the consciousness appear? How old were you when you first became conscious of your existence? Is there anyone who thinks along these lines? If not, then how can you go beyond? You wish to inquire about Brahman without knowing these simple things. Without knowing them, how can you get liberation? You are always senior to that which you know. What is prior to consciousness is Adhyatma, which means Atman is prior to everything. What do you possess other than body and consciousness? Those who visit this place should be very earnest. Most of the people are not serious, but they come for entertainment. We got the news about dissolution of the universe. But where was the informant standing during that calamity? He stays at a place where death becomes calm and quiet. You may take yourself as a Nani, but you always consider yourself as an outcome of consciousness and not existing prior to it. Your consciousness is termed the great reality. Human beings are accused of behaving in the wrong way, but who is the creator of humanity? Its origin is in the 5 elements. Whatever happens amongst the 5 elements ultimately settles in every grain of foodstuff. The food material or sattva is responsible for the vital breath in our beingness. Keep this in mind and meditate. All living bodies are the various forms taken by the food material, sattva. We name the living bodies as per their forms. We wrongly feel that they are responsible for our behavior. In reality, the energy in the body and the mind flow result in the behavior. In the unmanifested, there is no sense of being or self-consciousness. The manifested is with consciousness and all-pervasive. The sense of being in the sattva body follows the qualities as per the type of form. As per form, a human being takes himself or herself as a man or a woman. We name animals as a bull or a donkey as per the body form. There is nothing like death, but that word traditionally denotes the disappearance of consciousness. When the supply of food juices sattva stops, the sense of being is no more. Is it death? If there is food supply, there is vital breath, and with prana, there is also consciousness. This consciousness itself is also termed Prakriti Purusha. The Prakriti and Purusha are formless and active in the elements surrounding the earth, and all living beings have to suffer their good or bad effects as their destiny. The dissolution is only of the earth which has a form. By following a true guru, you will realize that despite millions of births, the unborn has remained unborn without even a single birth. The unborn and imperishable cannot be seen, but it ever exists. Accept it as your own self.